Second attempt at this week. Hopefully, I get a message here from somebody saying this is working. Anyways, welcome into the live What the Futures update here. We're gonna attempt this a couple, well, maybe every like Tuesday. We'll give it a go here. We'll start with that. Maybe every Tuesday. Well, there we go. YouTube's messaging me saying we're live, so we should be good. Maybe we'll start doing this Tuesdays, right around just after the lunch hour. We'll give it a go here over the next month and see how it goes for a live show. All right, I was out a couple days ago telling you guys that I snagged Game 1 playoff ticket, Stanley Cup Final, Edmonton Oilers versus the Florida Panthers, and that I was going to give away a pair of tickets to this great Game 1 event. Here we are. I said I would be back to tell you guys who the winner is, and we do have a winner, and we'll get to that in just a minute. Now, we had over 80 people respond, right? You had to email in your name, who you were going to bring to the game, where you farm, and give a crop rating, okay? Now, I didn't write down all the towns. I think the furthest away was Carey out of Estevan, Saskatchewan. I believe that was the furthest distance. And this isn't a one-off for Carey. I've been following Carey along here for the... actually, let me just adjust something here. There we go. I've been following Carey along during the playoffs. He's an avid Oilers fan. He's been all about this here the last couple of months. So this wasn't a one-off for Carey. So Carey entered his name, and he's not the winner, unfortunately. I was kind of almost hoping for Carey because that drive would have been phenomenal to see that experience, how to get from Estevan to Edmonton in time to make it for this game. So sorry, Carey. I hope I didn't get your hopes up there. I probably did. We had people respond an hour east of Saskatoon. We had northeast Saskatchewan involved as well, which surprised me a little bit. I thought you guys might be Jets fans over there, but we had a few of you. We also had Bonanza, Alberta in the far north, Manning, Alberta as well, participating in the over 80 entries. All right. Now, there was a couple ways to get extra entries. You had to guess, tomorrow, I'm recording this week's podcast tomorrow. You had to guess which jersey I'd be wearing. Well, this is not the one. This is my vintage Ryan Smith jersey. Ryan Smith is in the podcast studio each and every week. He's up in that corner. If we took the camera back a little bit, you'd see a wonderful Ryan Smith. It's when he retired. It's got all his some of his greatest moments on there. And then we got Ryan Smith over here as well in the studio each and every week. I'm wearing my Smith jersey today. That's not the one that I'm going to be wearing. I'm going to be wearing my Matthias Ekholm jersey in this week's podcast. And just a short story about Ekholm. My family and I, in 2023, we took a bit of a weird vacation, late May, early June. Not a time that we normally get away. And we were supposed to go to Spain. But if you remember that year, there was a one-day WestJet strike. And that was the day of our flight. And so we ended up on an Air Canada airplane over in Hawaii, which, no complaints. Hawaii was phenomenal. And on our resort, the first day, I see this tall dude with a black eye and speaking Swedish, or I didn't know it was Swedish at the time, but I was speaking a different language than what I speak. And I was like, man, that looks like Matthias Ekholm. And so first day, I didn't say anything. The second day, or maybe the third day, we were the only two in Starbucks. And I was like, hey, are you Matthias Ekholm? And I've got no picture proof or evidence of this, that this happened. But anyways, Ekholm was there with his family right after the playoffs that year. Edmonton lost out in the conference finals, I think, to Vegas, or maybe it was Maybe it wasn't conference finals. It would have been the one before that, division finals. Anyways, I met Ekholm at their family. Again, no picture evidence, but earlier this year I snagged myself an Ekholm jersey to remember that. All right. So it'll be Ekholm in this week's podcast. We had a handful of people register for the conference. I'm thinking of a fun idea here for the conference. Maybe get a little discount going over the next 2 weeks. And then we had some guys join the Lunchbox Crew waitlist, VIP waitlist, because as I said before, we're not looking to expand the Lunchbox Crew, but we did say bye to Sam and Ken. And so we got a couple spots here that I'm willing to backfill as well this month. So the Lunchbox Crew just turned 1 year old. Now, of course, these Stanley Cup tickets, great seats, aisle seats. It's going to be a phenomenal experience. The game, a couple hours before puck drop, 4 p.m., the Arkells free concert are playing right ahead of the game. You can get down nice and early, really take in the experience here and really enjoy that game one journey. All right. So, of course, these tickets, they're brought to you by the What the Futures podcast. You can go to ryandenny.ca. You can check out, I got a message the other day, a farm looking for some consulting, farm business, crop marketing consulting. So there's that. You can check out the Lunchbox Crew stuff. And of course, there's also the conference, which stay tuned. I got a little idea on conference tickets here. Have some fun during the playoffs. All right. So we had over 80 entries, and I asked everyone to rate their crops. So, it's a sensitive time right now across the prairies. But I was pleasantly, maybe a little bit relieved. It might have been relief. It might have been some helping with some of my optimism. But when people responded, out of, let's call it 80, there were 2 that were poor. And I expected that. And honestly, one of them was right in my backyard where our farm is, right? So there's a couple pours. And then there was about a dozen that said excellent, which was nice to see. And then everybody else came in as average, or they would write average to slightly above, which was really nice to see. Now, it's a very sensitive time of year because everybody that responded said, hey, Ryan, I'm going to tell you that my crop looks average right now, or maybe a bit better than average, but I can't stress it enough, or I'm aware, or I'm concerned. We need a rain here in the next 7 to 10 days. We need a rain. So, things may look okay here on, what are we, June the 3rd, but with a caveat here that, by June 10th, we need a major precipitation event. And so I took that and I just popped over and asked, one of my my contacts here over at BAM Weather, just to give me, a bit of sense on what to expect over the next 7 to 10 days. And, I asked them to focus up on Saskatchewan specifically because it is a little more dire, I would say, in Saskatchewan compared to Alberta. Now, the southeast corner of Alberta definitely needs some precipitation. But I just asked him to give me a bit of an idea on what to expect here over the next week to 10 days. And so basically he says, the far north of Saskatchewan, now I'm talking far north here, from northern Manitoba, northern Saskatchewan, there's a rain event coming, which is welcome. We have a Lunchbox Crew member that basically rigged up his sprayer trailer, headed north this week to go fight fire north of Prince Albert. It's not quite that area. It's a little bit north of that, but hopefully it dips down a bit lower and goes and takes care of some of those big fire events here in the north. But basically, BAM Weather responds to me and says, hey, we aren't seeing a lot of major moisture hits here. I'd say this afternoon, so this being Tuesday afternoon, They said we have a chance here. And then Thursday afternoon, those are both the best bet to see scattered showers across the region. Thursday afternoon would offer up some limited risk to see a few cells overachieve, but not in a widespread nature. All right, so not really what you want to hear. It's kind of like buying a lottery ticket right now. Some of you are gonna get lucky here and get something, and but it's not one of those big sustained events that we all want to see. They go on to say there's better potential from day 7 onward, and there's a system here that can push into the region late next Monday to Wednesday. Now, long range forecasts like that, 7 days out, you want to be you want to be wishful. You want to be sitting here saying, let's mark that one down. Let's get that right. But they can be a little frustrating because sometimes in dry conditions they just don't materialize. So basically, they go on to add here, I do think Western Saskatchewan can see better potential for upwards to 40 mils in a more widespread fashion as a couple dying storm complexes work their way over again next Monday to Wednesday. So we'll keep an eye on that. So, thanks, John from BAM Weather, on responding. You just message your meteorologist and they give you as specific of information as you want there. So we're all, crossing our fingers here when it comes to the weather. I appreciate everyone, responding. We didn't have a whole bunch of asks to get your name entered for these tickets. But thanks for responding and giving a little bit of perspective. Again, responses from all over the place across the prairies here, a very good sample size, and everyone consistent that, hey, 7 to 10 days here, we need something. We need a drink of water. All right. Now I'm just about at the fun part of announcing our winner, but this is a crop marketing show, right? We talk crop marketing every Friday. And so I wanted to just highlight a few things that stand out to me here right now. And so, of course, you will have heard this by now, but let's just confirm here that India has extended the tariff-free imports for peas into, I think it was March of 2026. So yellow pea growers will rejoice with that news. Of course, did hear some comments about China as well, but nothing positive on that front. I didn't see any action yet in the yellow pea market, but I think weather, depending on the next 10 days here, can play a part in rallying some pea prices. I saw green lentil prices climbing because that lentil area definitely being highlighted as an area of concern right now. So we'll see. Maybe pulses can find a little bit of momentum here. I will say, as Chuck Penner said on the show not long ago, India was very well covered with inventory. And so it's good that they've extended this tariff-free portion, but it may take a little bit of time here for that market to respond. Maybe a weather response, number one. I could see that obviously first, and then maybe that late charge of demand. Maybe that comes at us in the fall here, or maybe a little bit beyond that as well. So I guess as a yellow pea marketer right now, this is a positive, and there's a lot of questions around the crop you're growing right now, so not a lot of urgency to do a bunch of pricing. Right, you can kind of play that a little bit more patient. Now, our wheat markets gave back some of the gains here today. Chicago, Kansas down a couple of cents. Minneapolis down, I think 9 cents here at the close. And, I'll just highlight that the U.S. crop came in for spring wheat 50% good to excellent, in the high 90s for planted, which is normal. But what caught my eye was that last year, the 5-year average for Minneapolis spring wheat, the good to excellent rating has been 68% as an average over the last 5 years. We're at 50%. So it's better than the trade thought, but still well below the 5-year average. And a couple of reference years here. If you want to look back at that 50% number, you'd circle 2021 and 1988 as comparables. Now, if you're if you were farming in Western Canada in 1988, it's a year that my dad brings up all the time. 88 was not good. And 2021 for the next generation, not good either. So, I sit here, I look at the spring wheat market. I was looking at this rally thinking I need to get a little something done here sooner than later. But again, here the next 10 days. And the reason I say sooner than later is let's see here, we were as low as what, 605, 610, climbed up to 660, like a 50-cent gain in wheat. That's usually a sell. It's usually you take some consideration there and do a little bit of pricing. But I look at what's going on with crop ratings. Again, they improved week over week, so it's bearish. But looking at the weather, and I will be keeping a very, very close eye on this one. Of course, the joke being that I have more wheat sold for next fall than I have for this fall, which just, again, seems kind of depressing. All right. Canola tried to gain back half of yesterday's losses. Now, I don't have anything earth-shattering here. I wish I did. All I can say is that, as we get to the highs, just below the $700, that's when I look at off November futures. I look at just protection. I look at how can I get myself a put option? How can I protect that level? Because if it starts to rain in the next week or so and kicks off a fantastic growing season, then, that number, that 700 is going to be, or just below, is going to be the high for a while here, right? We're going to start taking some of that weather premium away. We might put it back in here in July, but I'm cautious around that. And if I've been a little bit of a heavier seller, I've been selling, new crop canola, well, then I'm looking for a close over 700 to consider some call options, buying some upside here in this market. Because if we close above 700, I'll let the technical folks speak to this a little bit better. But there's a gap there. There's some upside potential. So I'm cautious. I'm more leaning towards protect, but I can't stress enough how important the weather in the next 7 to 10 days is. It feels like we're going to say that for the next 8 to 10 weeks. We're going to get to the end of June and say, well, this is the week, man. We're like, we need this rain this week. Or we'll get to July and say, okay, can't get too hot now. Like, it's going to be a reoccurring theme. But we got to get through this first one. We got to get this first one going. Otherwise, it gets much more difficult here if those rains push later into June and markets turn a bit more bullish in that scenario. All right, so that's about it. I did get a couple of messages here late as I was hitting the record button on oats and stuff. But again, folks, I think we have a very interesting week ahead. I don't think there should be a lot of panic right now out there from a selling perspective. But if you want to, I think that we all just need to keep a close eye over the next 7 to 10 days here and see how this progresses. All right. Hyper aware on our wheat marketing right now. Hyper aware on our canola marketing. Slow playing the yellow pea market here just a little bit at this time. All right, folks, let's get to the good part now. Let's announce our winner of our Stanley Cup Finals Game 1 ticket package, a pair of tickets. And I'll say, those of you had to tug at my heartstrings as well. You guys had to go out there and tug at the heartstrings because you told me stories about who you were going to bring to the game and why. And I was like, oh man, like I got to go buy more tickets for people because some of the stories were phenomenal. And you guys are romantics out there. You're romantics. I don't know if your partners know this, but many of you were taking your spouse. Many of you were taking your spouse. All right. So that was really cool to see. Lots of guesses on jerseys. I'd say Nugent Hopkins was the most popular, followed by Draisaitl. I do have a Draisaitl jersey in the closet. It's signed. I'll tell that story another day on how that signature came to be. But I must have put on a couple of LBs after acquiring that one because it's a little tight. All right, folks. Let's congratulate here. And Colin, I'm going to butcher your last name, so I'm going to say it two different ways. So I'm going to say Colin Matheson or Mathiasen, but I think it's Matheson from Lakefield Farms out of Daysland, Alberta. Colin is going to bring his dad to the game. His dad has been a lifelong Oilers fan since they joined the league in the late 70s, that would have been. They're going to go to game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals here in Edmonton, Alberta. His crops are looking excellent, but again, need that rain in 7 to 10 days. So Daysland area is looking good. And he was so excited. I tried to get him on the show today. I was like, Colin, just join me for a few minutes here and let's just talk about the Oilers and talk about your win. And he's like, Ryan, I would love to, and I will. But now that I've won these tickets, I got all this grain I have to haul in over the next day and a half, and I'm going to be spraying tonight because we're going to the game tomorrow night. So I said, fair enough, man. Fair enough. So Colin's going to join the show again. Let's call in Matheson. I'm going to go with Matheson from Daysland, Alberta. Lakefield Farms is our winner and heading off to game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. I don't know, guys. This has been a lot of fun. So, we'll see. We'll see if we can pull off something else here in short order as we celebrate the Stanley Cup playoffs here in Edmonton, Alberta. All right, folks, that's it for this week. For today anyway. I'll see you guys on Friday in my Ekholm jersey. I'm out.